Is having a boyfriend embarrassing? Or is it boyfriend culture? Okay. What comes along with being attached to somebody? And it really all that is, bragged about, praised about online? Now, this article has been going viral. Is having a boyfriend embarrassing? Okay. How many of y'all partner with somebody and you're like, is it really worth it? All that comes along with it. And have, the times change where hard launching, soft launching, you know, just a hand, just a hand. Y'all need to see his face, just a hand to prove that I'm with somebody. Okay. Has to become cringy. This article has been going viral, and it's not so much about having a boyfriend, but I think it's more about the culture around being with someone, being around a man, everything that comes with it, and singlehood. Okay. Now let's praise Shantae Joseph, a Black British woman. Okay, who wrote this article? I want to get into some videos. I want us to talk about it as a culture, as a community over here. It's going to be a little bit of a deep dive, kind of like podcast. So if you're at work, let me know in the comments if you're at work listening, watching. But has boyfriend culture really shifted the narrative of, is it really worth it? What comes along with being partnered? And are people choosing to be single more often because I don't want all the shenanigans that comes with being tied to somebody? Okay. Being tied to somebody. Now, if you are new here, I'm Denise Brady. I'm a licensed marriage and family therapist. I love pop culture, reality TV. So hit that like, share this live. Okay. Share this video, do all the things and join. Stay for a little bit. Okay. Now, if you have not heard about this article, it really gives a premise of what happens when a woman gets partnered. Are we so fixated on boyfriend culture and everything that comes along with boyfriend culture that sometimes we forget ourselves? Okay, do we forget who we are? Now I'm gonna give a little. We're gonna go through the article, and I'm gonna give a little bit of some details and talk about. But let's get into what TikTok is saying about it. Okay.
If you have not read the British Vogue article, Is Having a Boyfriend Embarrassing? You need to run, not walk. There are days when I am a very proud subscriber of Vogue, and today is one of those days. So this article was written by the one and only Shantae Joseph. And if you don't know her from TikTok, you need to get to know her, because not only does she have incredible taste and a great podcast, but she also is a journalist. The thing about an article like this is that immediately it is going to cultivate a lot of backlash, but this is actually a sociological and anthropological study that deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. This article is speaking to something that so many people talk about, but from the perspective of not focusing on singleness, but from the perspective of focusing on those who have a boyfriend. This is an incredibly well-researched article. This is not something that someone just came together to put forth as an opinion piece. This is a true viewpoint where it is predominantly driven by individuals that are in relationships talking about why they do not post their boyfriend. What I love is that this is a topic that few people are talking about from this perspective. Here you see the creator Tell the Bees, who had an incredible take on an article earlier this year about.
I was just talking about this with a client. How friends abandon you when they have kids, how friends abandon you when they get partnered. Okay. And sometimes I was literally having this conversation. Sometimes you are the surrogate partner because that friend really wants to be coupled up with somebody, but since they have not met that person, but or cannot date, whatever it is, the friend becomes the surrogate partner. Okay, some of y'all know what I'm talking about. And then when that friend who's desperate for a partner gets a partner, you fade away because you were only the surrogate stand-in until your friend got in a relationship. And I think there's a lot of people who have gone through that, who have been the surrogate partner, though you are not in a relationship, though you guys are not being intimate, you hang out a lot, you do things that are sometimes relationship like. You're a foodie, you go out to brunches, y'all go on adventures. But when that person finally, the desperate friend finally gets in a relationship, what about our friendship? What about us? What happened to all the things we planned? Oh, see, me and Joseph, yeah, me and Joseph gonna go to Disneyland with our passes. Even though you and the friend over here who was there with you through it all, crying with you, saying, hang in there, sis, you gonna find somebody, you get forgotten about. Okay, you get forgotten about. And we don't talk about that enough. And so many people have gone through that. Let me know in the comments if that's you. Let's get back into it.
About friends feeling abandoned by their married friends. And again, what I love about both of these creators and the pieces and the commentary that they've had on this topic is that they are not focusing on the singleness. They're actually focusing on the individuals that are married and in relationship, which is something that you don't see happening as often. Of course, when it comes to people's boyfriends being introduced and that changing public perception to them, everybody thinks about this couple because we know the backlash that happened when Jalen started being in Monet's content. And of course, when people think about not sharing your boyfriend.
This was a moment. Issa shift a lot of things. Hard launching once you already married. Okay. I don't think she gets enough credit for that being such a pivotal shift in culture of people just popping up married. Never really seeing them with their mans, not feeling the pressure of, oh, I gotta post, I gotta prove to everybody I'm in a relationship. Here go his hand, here go his watch. Okay, here go my hands, the back of his neck. Okay. This to me was a culture shift. And I just don't think that Issa Rae gets enough credit for shifting the narrative and shifting how culture moves when it comes to getting married. Okay. Because now you see so many people hard launching once they are engaged. Okay. Old girl from y'all know I'm bad over here. Catfish. You know, she didn't even launch, she had a boyfriend till she had a ring on her finger. Okay, so let's get into it.
Until you are married, everyone thinks about Issa Rae because this was really a defining time where we saw someone wait until they were married to even share that they were in a relationship. And it really shifted the way that everyone thought about the soft launching, the hard launching, and how much we're tethering and coupling ourselves to others and our partners. When I say run, don't walk, this is an article that everyone should be reading, everyone should be discussing because it is incredibly done. And this is the type of content I want to see from Vogue. Shout out to Chioma, editor-in-chief of Vogue, because this is wonderful. If you have,
I think so many people are so focused on being attached to somebody. Okay, centering your life around having a boyfriend, that who you are as a person is nothing in your mind unless you are partnered. And I think that society puts so much pressure on women to have the goal of being attached to a man. Okay. That this has to be an accomplishment. This has to be a focal point. This has to be what you are yearning for all the time. Society is just saying that women can only be praised, acknowledged. There is a culture around also being acknowledged because you are a wife and not a girlfriend. There's steps to this. Being acknowledged because you are a girlfriend by friends, society-wise, being acknowledged and celebrated when you become a wife. Okay. And then what you know the next step is that society praises when you become a mom. Okay. And if you don't ever hit those three things, girlfriendhood, wifehood, motherhood, then you feel like something is wrong with you. Okay. You feel like something is wrong with you. And let me know in the chat if y'all agree with me, but I feel like we're seeing over and over again, women have to be praised when they are partnered with somebody. Okay. And going a little bit further, starting to look at the article, women were rewarded. Women were rewarded for their ability to keep a man while elevated social status and praise. It became even more suffocating when this could be leveraged on social media for engagement. If you were serious enough, financial gain. Okay. That is another subculture to me, is that when you do get in a relationship, it becomes your personality. Okay. It becomes your brand. Okay. Once again, let's talk about the levels. Okay. Level 1, You already have your not that's not even level 1 because people take you seriously, having your own platform. But level 1, you introduce the boyfriend. Okay? You introduce the boyfriend. He here and there, y'all doing stuff together. And then y'all see the engagements. Oh, let me add in Marcus a little bit more. Okay. And then your whole personality, your whole platform becomes y'all being in a relationship. Mhm, mhm, mhm. And you step up the levels. And then it goes up to look at us getting engaged. Social media highlights being attached to somebody and branding wise, elevation wise, you elevate for some people when you get a boyfriend, whereas other people, when you get into a relationship, it alienates your audience. Okay, it alienates your audience. And moving further along in this article, on the more confusing end, you have faces of blurred out wedding pictures, our entire professionally edited photos with Beyonce conveniently cropped out of all the shots. Women are obscuring their partner's face when they post as if they want to erase the fact that they exist without actual posting them. Okay. How many of you guys seen that? So what gives? People are embarrassed by their boyfriends now, or is it something more complicated going on? To me, it's like the result of women wanting to straddle two worlds. One where they can receive social benefits of having a partner, but also not appearing so boyfriend obsessed that they come across as quite culturally loser-ish. That's quite interesting. Try not to alienate your audience because not everyone's in that phase of their life where they're so attached to a man, but also trying to keep it gray that I'm not all about my partner. I still want to appeal to people who are not in a relationship. Okay. Oh, she says, in other words, an era of widespread hetero, I can't say that word, uh, phallism. Y'all know I'm not good with words, y'all. Big words. Women don't want to be seen as being all about their man, but they also want the clout that comes with being partnered. Let me say that again. Women don't want to be seen as being all about their man, but they want the clout that comes with being partnered. You see that word clout and partnered? That to me goes back to, oh, this is so many layers, y'all. This is gonna be a long one. Okay. So pull on up, get you a drink. That goes back to me where we're seeing more and more side chicks, the other woman, no shame, okay, no embarrassment because of the clout that comes along with being partnered with somebody, even if that somebody is somebody else's man. Okay, even if it's somebody else's man, I want the clout that comes along with being partnered. Oh my God, bars right there. Those are bars. Okay, it's not all about the image. When I did a call out on Instagram, plenty of women told me that they were in fact superstitious. Some feared the evil eye, a belief that their happy relationships would spark a jealousy are strong in other people that it could end the friendship. Possessiveness. Others were concerned about the relationship ending and then being stuck with the post. Damn. Concerned about their relationship ending, but then being concerned with the post sticking to their profiles. Damn, we delusional. We delusional. We care entirely too much about what folks think about us. That's what it's given to me. We care too much about the world think about us. But there was an overwhelming sense from single partner women alike that regardless of the relationship, being with a man was an almost guilty thing to do. Mm, mm, interesting. Now let's get into more of these videos over here.
viral British Vogue article called Is Having a Boyfriend Embarrassing Now by Shantae Joseph. And I'm going to tell you why some women believe that it is. I think the more some women reveal via social media what their life is actually like behind closed doors with some of these men, it is revealed that a lot of them are living in a humiliation ritual.
Not a humiliation ritual, y'all. Because looking at social media, that's what it feels like sometimes. Okay. The boyfriend becomes your child. At least I have a man. At least I have a piece of man, says a side chick, says a mistress. I'd rather have a piece than no man because I don't want to appear to be loserish. Okay? I don't want to appear to be loserish.
Like the video that went viral not that long ago about the woman who was like, I'm going to see how many seconds it takes for my husband to come in when he hears the shower turn on for him to want to join me. And this man emerges like a warden in a prison, looking at her like, how dare you think you're about to shower without me? And women are like, why would I put up with that for the sake of having a man? Or the men that will ask women questions like, if it's 2:00 in the morning and I ask for a sandwich, are you going to get up and make it? And you have all these women saying, yes, I would, I would, I would. These women don't understand. This is how you get and keep a man. And women are saying, why are y'all jumping through these hoops in order to be in partnership? You have these men who swear they're father of the year, but they know nothing about their own children. Hair color, eye color, birthday. They don't know about the child's peanut allergy. The reason why they think that they're doing so well is because she's always signing his name on the card, literally and figuratively. You have these women giving up their dreams of being
Y'all want to be with men so bad, y'all single in a marriage. We don't talk about that either. Being single in a marriage. Okay. Because you don't want to start all over, because having a piece of something is worth more than having nothing. That so many people are functioning in marriages as women single. Even, we've seen it's a whole culture of it on TikTok. Seeing if a man gonna put your bowl take your bowl to the sink. Okay. Every week is a different story about somebody finding out that their husband never liked them, never loved them. Okay. And then quiet as cap, the videos of the wives saying that they found out that their men were down low. Okay. Not to mention the women who find that their men were sleeping with their friends. How many of y'all have seen them videos? When the girl is in the car, she at home, she's scrolling through her man phone, and then she see her friend in the background. Oh, wait, Jessica. Wait. Why you on my man phone? Or this is 6 months later. You haven't seen Joe on my timeline. Me and Joe haven't been together in 7 months. I found out, my best friend that I've been doing all that content with, they've been doing more than content. Okay. They've been doing more than content.
Doctor, a lawyer, a ballerina, whatever it is, just so this man can live his dream. These women cook, clean, do all the sacrificing, are an acrobat in the bedroom just to still get a hey girly text from some other woman because that man is cheating. Women are constantly humiliating themselves publicly for these men, and women are like, what are y'all doing all this for? Is the juice even worth the squeeze?
No.
It's obvious that women make men's life better, but it's becoming harder to see how men make women's life better.
Ooh. She did that. Okay, she said that. She said that. Are men making women's lives easier? Oh, but let me we gotta talk about this other subculture over here.
Men are losing social status, and that's how you get to an article like, is having a boyfriend embarrassing now? Disclaimer that this conversation may be above your intellectual bracket. If you don't understand how to engage in cultural conversations, this is not a safe space for you. We know that men are increasingly becoming losers. You can clearly see that with the incels, the red pill content, or even in areas like education where men are not doing well in school, especially compared to their female peers. Men are also deliberately engaging in antisocial behaviors. You're not going to have a good social standing when you are engaging in antisocial behaviors. On top of the fact that a lot of men just do not like women. I, in a different video, encouraged men to have a few platonic relationships with women, and they were, why would I do that? That's just the stupidest thing I've ever heard. The fact that a lot of men think that it is stupid or pointless to just be friends with women says a lot about how they view women. They don't view them as people. They don't view them as equals. They only view them as this thing you go to for sex and other transactional reasons.
And those are also the men who are using those things to heal themselves, distract their trauma, and come from families that are dysfunctional. I don't want to say broken, I'm going to say dysfunctional. Okay. Look at the men who use women for sex, for gain. What is their relationship like with their own mothers? Healing and maneuvering through that mother wound through outside people, places, and things instead of focusing on myself. Okay. Now, the disclaimer, he read y'all down. He read that down. Let's get more into it.
But they don't see you on the same level as them. They wouldn't even be your friend. They're living in the world of their fathers and grandfathers without having any of the things that their fathers and grandfathers had, including the society that their fathers and grandfathers had. Their fathers and grandfathers went to work and made enough money to provide for a whole family. They could fix everything around the house. They could go out and they could work on a car. All these things that they are not. They're broke, don't know how to do anything, can't talk to anybody, very uneducated. And so why would a woman want to engage with you when she doesn't have to? She's single and she's having a very fulfilling life as a single woman. For a woman who is doing well in her life and has a great community of friends and is really working on her personal development and all these things, to look at a man who is a loser and to partner with a man who is a loser is embarrassing. Now, a lot of them
It's
still
to
do
read
it,
without
which the
even
article
trying.
did not address. And this is when we're going to go to women, because women are not innocent in this equation either.
Okay.
A lot of women lack discernment. So I can spot a loser 30 miles away, but somehow you could not tell that this man was a loser when he walked up to you or when he first messaged you. You went on this date, and within a couple of questions, you couldn't tell he was a loser, and you kept, or even if you did, you still.
Okay, not too much on the ladies now. Not too much. Okay, not too much. Sometimes we give men a lot of chances. And you know why? What do I always say? The potential. Okay, we try and give people the benefit of the doubt. We try and see past the trauma, past, maybe, he chose a bad restaurant. It was a bad day. Maybe he was late because he had a long work meeting. Okay, we do give men chances over and over, but I don't want to say that instantly a woman should be able to spot a loser because I think there's so many different layers and nuances to that, just as much as I'm going to say men give women at times chances and chances and chances. Okay. Because there's a lot of nuances to the conversation. It's just not so black and white that, oh, he showed up 5 minutes late. I'm leaving. I'm not going on a date with him no more. But we don't leave room at times for nuance. We don't leave room at times for conversations. And you said at the beginning to have an elevated conversation and an emotionally intelligent conversation. Now it's starting to turn to me where like, are you giving room to that? Okay, are you giving room to that?
Kept sitting there. You, as a woman, you have a certain type of man that you like, that you engage with, and even if that man does not have traits that are actually beneficial to you, you still put up with it until it boils over and it's a disaster.
And men don't. Okay, men don't.
And because you do this over and over and over again, your experiences with men are repeatedly horrible. Not always the case, but there's enough women who put up with the losers that the losers are still encouraged to continue to be losers. But the other problem with women continuing to push this narrative is that at first there was a little bit more nuance behind it. Women were bringing up very specific issues that they were having with men. They were talking about very real, tangible issues like men being violent. And that is where we started getting into these conversations about men maybe being dangerous, not wanting to center men, all these things. But now all of that context is being taken away. Even in this Vogue article, it was a very short read. It didn't it didn't go through too much. It was very short and straight. Having a boyfriend's embarrassing. It's better to be single. Men are trash. Keep in
That's not what you see. That's where you lost me. Okay, because the article does not speak to men are trash. It's the culture of boyfriendhood. It's the culture of women need to feel attached to a man. And is that significant anymore? Okay, this is how I can tell you skim the article. You're skimming it and you're starting to go back to it's the women's fault and women need to be better. You're starting to lose me.
mind, women still want to be partnered. They would love to be partnered if they found a man that they liked. But when
No, no. I think we're at a stage where people are choosing to be single. People are choosing to be happily independent outside being attached and codependent to a man. Okay. They don't feel the need to be attached to somebody because it comes with too much. I am not gay enough to put myself out there and be attached to somebody. Watching my friends, watching this stuff on social media. I don't want all that. I don't want the responsibility of having to pleasure a man all the time. I don't want the responsibility of growing. Okay, because that's another thing. We're seeing the trend of, the man she met, the man she broke. Okay. Uh what is it? I can't remember her name right now, but it's the song that's trending right now where men are like the boy she met and the man he grew into because of her. Okay, once again, we're doing the work. We're pouring in. And what are we sometimes getting back? It's always some trend every month where it's about a woman pouring into a man and the results. Do we ever see the opposite? Do we ever see that reciprocate on social media? We don't.
you are pushing the idea that you don't want men to talk to you, you don't want men to approach you, what man, even if he is a decent man, is going to want to approach you? I wrote a longer form version of this on Substack and Patreon, but the key takeaway here is that this narrative of men are embarrassing, men suck, I don't want them to talk to me, is going to create a reality that nobody's going to like. I hate the losers too, but do you see how I specifically point out the losers and their behaviors and their beliefs? This is just one of those areas where you need to be specific about who and what you are talking about.
So he had me the first half, but then I feel like the second half, he just turned into one of those red pill conversations podcast. Okay. You just turned right into what you were saying. You're not. So you lost me. Okay. You completely lost me. But going back to this article, even partner women will lament men and heterosexual parties and solidarity over other women, but also because it's now fundamentally uncool to be a boyfriend girl. Do y'all think it's uncool now to be a boyfriend girl? There is something cringy and embarrassing about constantly posting your partners these days. There's a part of me that would also feel guilty for sharing my partner constantly, especially when we know the dating landscape is really bad at the moment. It wouldn't be boastful. Interesting. Is there a lot of guilt and maybe some shame around sharing a boyfriend knowing that your friends, people around you are still struggling? Do you in some ways have to push down your happiness, this celebratory time in your life? Because not everybody has that. That's something to sit on. So I wonder, even going back to friendships, when you are going through a celebratory time, where that's you get engaged, you get married, you're having a baby, you graduate in college, you bought a house. Let's talk about the other things that women, need to celebrate and look at. I got into law school. I bought a house. I started a business. Some of y'all moved to a new country. I left the States. But because some of your friends are not in the best of places and are not going through the best of times, does that mean that you sometimes shield your stuff away? You stuff it because people around you are not going through the same thing. And we are going through very hard times right now. So, is there a space for people to celebrate the things that are going well in their lives versus having to stuff it? Even in my own life, there are people around me who are going through financial strife, different things. And, sometimes I might have something happen in my life where I'm like, oh, I want to celebrate this. I want to tell somebody. But how do you tell the person who maybe their house is going into foreclosure that you just bought a house, that you just closed on a house? How do you share something like that where um, even posting on social media now, like the furloughs, people not receiving their federal wages and income for the month of November. Is it okay to post that you at a dinner with your husband and you're eating steak and lobster? Is that one of those read the room moments? Is that one of those I can't post that or celebrate that because of what everybody else is going through? Chime in the comments and let me know. Have you ever had a time in your life where you really want to post or celebrate something, but the state of the world, the state of some of your friends and their relationships, your best friend might be going through a divorce, going through some child support issues, but you just got engaged. Can you share that? Or is it looked down upon? Okay, is it looked down upon? From my conversations, one thing is certain: the script is shifting. Being partner doesn't affirm your womanhood anymore. It's no longer considered as an achievement. If anything, it's become more of a flex to pronounce yourself single. Let me read that again. It's no longer considered an achievement. If anything, it's more of a flex to pronounce yourself single. Is that true? As a straight woman, we're confronting something that they over. Let me start all that. As a straight woman, we're confronting something that every other sexuality has had to contend with, uh, a politicization of our identity. Heterosexuality has long become purposefully indefiable. So it's hard for those within it and outside of it to critique it. However, as traditional roles begin to crumble, maybe we're becoming forced to reevaluate our blind allegiance to heterosexuality. Ah, that's a good one. Our blind allegiance to heterosexuality. But is the world really ready for something different, for us to not be so blinded by that, to not have it be the focal point? Because we've seen television shows, we've seen media shift and change. And as I'm seeing media try not to at the forefront have heterosexuality be at the forefront, I still see the comments, even when I do videos about shows that decenter homosexuality and center, did I say that? Decenter heterosexuality and have the focus be more homosexuality and trans and queer people. Even watching Wayward, a lot of comments on that show was about, oh, I got too distracted by the main character being queer, being trans. The first two episodes, I couldn't even figure out what they really were. So I really don't know about that. I don't know about if the world's really ready for that. They say they are, but the actions, once again, what the actions telling me. Obviously, there's no shame in falling in love, but there's also no shame in trying and finding it, or not trying at all. As long as we're openly rethinking and criticizing heteronormativity, having a boyfriend will remain somewhat fragile or even contentious concept within public life. This also happened alongside a wave of women reclaiming and romanticizing their single life. I'm seeing that. I'm liking that. Where being single was once a cautionary tale, you'll end up a spinster. That must be a British term. Spinster with a lot of cats is now becoming a desirable and covenant status. Another nail in the coffin of a centuries old heterosexual fairy tale that never really benefited women to begin with. Mm, mm. Very good article. Okay, very good article.
This Vogue article that talks about how embarrassing it is to have a boyfriend is that it has nothing to do with men. As someone that has actually read the article in its entirety more than 3 times now, I can confidently tell you that this article is more of an astute observation of women's behaviors, especially towards each other. On a surface level, this article is one woman showing her findings to other women about how women behave when they're in a relationship versus outside of a relationship towards other women. She specifically speaks on the guilt and shame that women feel in association with being in a relationship. Not because the men themselves are bad, but because of the possible ridicule that women in relationships get from other women about being male-centered. And also how far women in relationships are willing to go to rid themselves of ridicule from single women. The article gives examples of women doing stuff like soft launching a guy on social media, right? Taking a picture of just his hand.
Why do people feel pressure to do these things? A hand, a neck, a photo with no a star or something over his face, just to prove a little bit. A little bit. Okay. Now there's been some critique also looking at these comments. Some people are saying we went for men are not approaching us to a boyfriend is embarrassing. I don't know if it jumped that quickly. I think this person in the comments is not really nuanced and doesn't understand what the article is really saying and how relationships with social media is shifting. Okay. It's interesting how, in some ways, a couple years ago, one thing was popular: soft launches, hard launches. Now, is that fading away? Okay, are people want to see less of the partner and more of the individual? What do you guys think?
On the steering wheel or blurring out his face completely. Another example is evil eye, the superstition that showing off her relationship to other women online will make those women so jealous that they seek to destroy her relationship. She even talks about how women in relationships try to both honor their relationships and appease women at the same time.
Do you think that's true that we are so focused on appeasing other people? Okay. Why do people feel like they have to, I think, push their lives in the faces of other people in the sense of, I need your acceptance? Okay. And does social media really distort our feelings about our relationships? If everybody else likes him, if I get the approval from my following, if I get the approval from socials, then that means he's a good person, right? That means I'm doing the right thing, right? Right? But looking further at the article, I think that self-worth has to be beyond being with somebody. I think the article's one of the core things the article talks about is being partnered no longer affirms your womanhood. It is not received as an automatic achievement. For some people, that's a good thing. For other people who need public perception, public approval, I think that's going to be a little bit different. There's going to be like, well, why aren't people, liking my photos of us together? We need to post more. Their whole identity of social acceptance and status becomes their whole personality. Is posting the partner genuinely about, hey, I'm happy? Or is it about the connection being about growth? Okay. People are so invested in being partnered and showing off their partner that they're willing to risk losing self and then the distress if the relationship ends. Okay. What happened? And she said in the article, someone feel like they are now stuck with the post on their grid of the relationship. As a therapist, I want to emphasize healthy relationships still matter. Connection, trust, mutual growth. The concern is more about why and how we enter our present relationships. It's not so much about healthiness. The relationship, whether it's good or bad, we've seen with the Canes, we've seen with so many people on here that it's just about, I got a man, whether he hit me, whether he fly me out, rather than he treats me in a healthy way, it does not matter. It doesn't matter. And so I want people to reflect on, have they ever been in a relationship where all my self-worth comes from that relationship? Public persona. What meaning do I have to be in a relationship? What meaning do I assign to being single? Am I with someone because they fit me and I feel nourished, or because of external pressures, status, timelines, my biological clock, my identity? Okay. Are you creating something that you can't keep up with? That you're only keeping up with the status of outside beliefs, outside opinions. And if you're single or partnerless, nothing wrong with that. Let's normalize being single, singlehood, being independent of a partner. And I think the article is really emphasizing the shift that being single and singlehood is valid. That is not, your life does not always have to be about being partnered with someone. Okay. It's not all about the boyfriend being cringy. I think people look at the title and they skim it and they don't look at the layers. It's looking at the role of heteronormativity. I think things are changing. The script is changing. The world is changing. How we view relationships is changing. If you are someone who's on your healing journey, you're evolving and have taken the time to self-reflect, maybe you have noticed and seen the shift yourself in how you move in relationships. I think we're in a generation that people are prioritizing flexibility, self-growth, multiple life domains, career, self, friendships, in ways that earlier generations did not. Earlier generations were focused on, oh, go to college, get married. Okay. You just need to go to college and get married. That's what it's all about. Have some kids, and once you get married, stay married. But now I think people have more that they want to do, more that they're trying to achieve. And they see that we don't have to just be wives, girlfriends, mothers. We can be more than that. Okay. Now there is a little bit of critique, some caveats. Okay. The risk of, tying to no partner with cool. Are we shifting the narrative that we're not valuing meaningful connections? That there can't be a balance? In some ways, is the narrative shifting to, are we shaming those who do have relationships and want to post them online? And I think, the title of the article may feel accusatory to some people in relationships. So the approach is to be cautious. And yes, with, this going viral and being popular, there are going to be some people who are like, what? What is she talking about? There's going to be some controversy with anything that goes viral, because the world we live in is so black and white. Okay, it's so black and white. But in closing, not my blanket falling, y'all. It's always something on this channel, right? We're not perfect. I don't try to be super polished. Okay. What does my relationship status say about myself? How do I value myself and how I connect with other people? Reflect on that. If you're in a relationship, how do you navigate social media and identity? If you're single, how do you feel about the idea of singlehood? Is it now a status symbol? Okay. Healthy relationships or healthy singlehood, I think, comes with an alignment with your values, not cultural pressure. Take some time to evaluate how you show up in relationships, what you need versus what you are accepting with yourself, with a partner, and maybe explore how you show up in public versus private when it comes to relationships. And do you feel like, as we spoke about in the beginning, are you the friend who was the placeholder? Okay? That you and that desperate friend, y'all will go and do things together, almost like kind of like a relationship, but without the romance, without the sex. And once the desperate partner got a man, got somebody, the friendship faded away because you were just a placeholder until the desperate friend got what they needed. Okay. And once they got what they needed, they were done with you. Okay. They were done with you. And we don't talk about that enough. We don't. There are a lot of people out there going through what happened to our friendship? I want to call and talk about it. And the other person is too caught up with their new boo to talk to you. Okay? Were they really your friends? Were they really your friend? Or were you just a placeholder? Okay? Thank you for coming to my TED Talk. If you got to the end of this article, and I guess this podcast today, subscribe, like the video, come into the chats, join the membership, share this video with your crew, with your group chats, because of course, I got more to come. Okay, I love having these conversations. And this is not a channel where you have to agree with everything I say. No, I want to have us have conversations, have different opinions in the comments. We can talk about different things without tearing one another down. This is a healthy space, and I want to continue to be a healthy space. So come in and have some conversation in the chat, but don't tear other people down. Don't tear me down. Okay? I should probably really be working right now. So I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.